Bum, bum, ba-da-da, bum, bum.
Happy opening day edition of the Blue Review, everyone. Marcus, I mean, you could tell in true fashion, opening day fashion, I didn't even show up to work.
Right? Look at that. Look at you rocking the home studio today on opening day.
That's right. I will be at the Dodger game today, so of course I didn't want to be in LA all day. So shout out to producer Anthony and producer Jonathan in the back handling business. And look forward, everyone in the chat and everyone following along ESPN Los Angeles socials, look forward to some content today. But Marcus, I mean, just how are you feeling today? I know it's going to be a big one. We'll have Travis Rogers join us today, preview the series, but we're also going to get into a whole bunch of season predictions, kind of our last minute over unders on some of the players.
I'm excited about it. I have a group chat that is completely cleared with OPSEC, but we have a lot of folks. And I woke up this morning and one of my best friends had texted me happy opening day, which is like as a tradition amongst us, but it's like it's sort of an unofficial American holiday, right? Despite my yelling at Cloud that it should be the first Tuesday in April, it's still a great day. I will definitely be tuned into the Dodgers tonight, but also as somebody who has an MLB TV subscription, I will be sure to during the day when I'm just sitting around the house working, I'm sure I'll pull up another game from somewhere else. I always listen to a lot of radio broadcasts from other teams that I don't necessarily care one way or another about. So, who knows? I may check out another ball game and get ready for the Dodgers tonight.
Yes, I mean, we got a lot of baseball, and maybe we'll get into some action around the league here on the Blue Review. But before we do anything, I want to remind everyone here in the Blue Review chat and across the Blue Review socials that we are presented by LAX. Our friends at LAX are transforming the travel experience, reducing traffic, saving guests time. So if you want to learn more, check it out at flylax.com/transforminglax. So before we transform this episode, I would love to introduce our dear friend, Travis Rogers. So Anthony, Jonathan, if we can get that 3cam up, we are going to get into this. Travis, how are you doing? It's opening day. I've just been asking Marcus. There it is. It's time for Dodgers baseball. Wow, not even planned.
It is.
That's right, Marcus. You get it. You get
completely unplanned. It's just the feeling today,
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, Travis. I was just telling Marcus we're going to get into a lot of basically last-minute season predictions, and then we're going to have some fun, some Snellzilla previews. So, Marcus, I'm going to kind of toss it over to you. Before we do these over-unders, let's just talk about today and what we're going to see out of Snell against Skubal, a big matchup. And I know that last year was interesting. I think Skubal was the only time we won against the Tigers. We had a weird series against them last year.
It was a bad series. They played. They were in Detroit right before the All-Star break, and it was just kind of an awful weekend. I mean, they coughed up a lead in one. I remember they played some really poor defense. The one game they won in that series was the one I think we were all worried about. It was the one against Skubal. But even in that game, he pitched well. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts. He gave up a home run to Freddie Freeman. That was really kind of the only blemish that he had in that ball game. And the Dodgers were fortunate to come back with a couple of runs in the late innings and pull out the win there. But Skubal pitched really, really well. So, I would expect more of the same. I think it's going to be a tough way to start the season. Looking forward to seeing Blake Snell. I mean, Travis, he has been kind of a tormentor for this team over many years, whether going back to Tampa and San Diego, San Francisco, whatever. He's been a tormentor. So, I mean, Trav, it'll be nice to see him on our side for once.
Yeah, it's funny because, when they signed Tanner Scott, everybody thought, okay, good. They got the one guy in baseball that Ohtani can't hit. They took him off the table. Well, Snell was kind of that for the whole team. Like you said, Marcus, that this was a guy that had locked them up more than once. I feel obligated that every time we talk about Blake Snell, I got to say thanks again to Kevin Cash for taking him out of the game in 2020 when he was just absolutely cruising. But look, because he's bounced around a little bit, because he was in Tampa and San Francisco and San Diego, and now I don't know if we lose track of him exactly, but he does feel like one of those guys that maybe we don't talk about as one of the best pitchers in baseball, which is exactly what he is. I mean, he's getting the opening day start on a team that has 5 aces. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's a pretty high honor. So I'm very excited to see him. I think he's the one guy that you could probably feel is going to pitch a lot this season, hopefully. The rest of these guys all have, little varying degrees of injury concern along the way, but I'm incredibly excited to see him today.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at last season's splits. I know it was a weird one in terms of when he was getting started and all the spring training situations, but he looked great when he did, and he pitched, like you said, Travis, more than, really we're used to. It was really great to see that the lefty's going to be starting this home opener. I think that he's going to set the tone for this Dodgers squad and really set the tone for this staff, this pitching staff, because granted, we've had 2 games already and they looked good, but to do it at home, to really make this message known to the league, like, hey, we're ready to go back to back. Look at what we have. This is our onslaught of a team. I just feel great about it. And the lineup, everything about this, Mookie's going to be, not fully back to health, but he'll be there. Travis, what are you expecting out of just this team as a whole today? I mean, I don't even know. They surprised me still, even though it feels like there's nothing left that they can do.
No, you're right. The sky really is the limit when you do this. Like night to night, they're going to be favored to win every game they play. That's really weird. Like, the good teams, you're going to win more often than you're not. But it's really weird to think that going into each game every night, not only are they likely to win, they're heavy favorites to win. I was reading something this morning where the typical line in a Major League Baseball game is a run and a half, right? That frequently Vegas is telling us right now that the Dodger line will be 2.5. That's exceptionally rare. When they play bad teams, they're saying that they could be as much as -600 or 700, which means you'd have to bet $700 to win 100. That's crazy in baseball. So night to night, I think it's going to be more of a how many in a row can they win? How many in a month can they win? They're going to lose some games clearly because baseball's like that, but I really do think that we're looking at history building, assuming they get off to a pretty good start and how aggressively they end up chasing it. Because as far as them winning the series, as far as them winning the division, those are almost certainly going to happen because they've cracked the code for the regular season. The playoffs, totally different animal. That's a long ways away. But for this season, for the first time, and anybody that's listened to me on my show knows that I'm a nervous Nelly when I watch the Dodgers, that I was always like, yeah, great. But what happens then, this is the first time in a while that I can kind of sit back and think to myself, I just want to watch them every night because I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be fun. I don't need to worry about, but with the but they took care of it last October. And now it's just, let's go again. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time in a while. Well, one, I mean, the last few years with this lineup, with this franchise, it has sort of been, understanding they were the best team in the division and just sort of waiting for October and then nervously chewing your fingernails, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Right. I feels like this is the first time in a while that this team will get to October. And yeah, there are expectations. I mean, there's the hope that they win a World Series, but I don't think there's going to be that incredible anxiety seems like too mild of a word for what this fan base has gone through the last this last few Octobers. There's going to be kind of an excitement, I think, and anticipation, but sort of not on that level because we have seen them get this done finally. So I'm with you. I think every night's going to be fun. I will tell you, Travis, and you know this as a sports fan, as a baseball fan, I still have my irrational fears with this team. I mean, when I say irrational fears, I mean that like I will watch them every night. And my first thought, even looking up and down this lineup, my first thought is, hey, just don't get no hit tonight. Right. And then, when they get that first hit, then I sort of relax. I'm like, okay, now let's just go out and win this ball game.
Yeah.
But for 160 more games, this should be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Marcus, I like what you said because it's actually one of the things that I'm going to talk about today on Travis DeMarco, that I think that anxiety that I think you accurately described that had been there in previous seasons because they'd lost to Washington, because they'd lost to San Diego, because they'd lost to Arizona in ways that felt, like they shouldn't have. Like when they got clobbered by the Red Sox in the World Series that year, you're like, yeah, the Red Sox are probably better. You could kind of live with it. It's those losses that didn't feel like you were the better team that were so difficult to deal with. And I think that that monkey's off their back moving forward because of what they did last year, coming back from the brink of another one against San Diego. And so let's take the best team, which on paper they are. Let's take the team that is deeper than any other team, which they are. Let's take the team that will plug any holes that may occur, because to your point, Marcus, that, you know, stuff happens and they're not going to wait around and say, oh, well, just bad luck. They'll fix the problem aggressively. They always have. So they're going to do that. And they can have their shoulders back a little bit. They could like, let's just go do this thing. There is no, what could happen next? It's just a very loose, aggressive. Let's just see how much we can kick these guys' butts night to night. Mm-hmm. If they stay healthy, I mean, they're not going to win 115 games, but they might, you know. and I think that's where it gets really fascinating, is if it does break their way, just how good can they be?
So a question, because you mentioned that, like, you know, how many games they're expected to win. I mean, the prediction is that they're just going to pretty much walk into a 100-win season. Mm-hmm. Look, they've won a World Series. They know they are good enough to win a World Series again. Look, let's say they are chasing 115, 116 wins. Do you think Dave Roberts late in the season decides to go for it, or are they still more focused on what happens at the very end?
I think it's the second thing. I hope that there's a way to do both. I hope that there's a way to kind of modulate their aggression with managing guys at the end of the season who might need a little bit of a rest, but they're still rolling out a team that's expected to win every night. Like, I'm not going to, you know, pick a guy that Yamamoto or Sasaki or Glasnow. They need to kind of catch their breath before you go into October. But if you're running out there, Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May and Landon Knack, you still got a really good chance to win those games. Yeah. So it's not like you don't have a chance if you don't mash the gas. But I also think that the first priority for this team is not to set the win record, is not to win the division by 40 games or whatever crazy number it might be. It's to win the World Series, and the only way you do that is to be as healthy as possible. So I think that's priority number one, or at least I think it should be.
Yeah, Travis, I was just going to say that exact same thing. You're rolling out there in the Tokyo series without Mookie, without Freddie, and there you go. Now, granted, it was Yamamoto, but Landon Knack, guys like Gonsolin, they're no chumps. You know, Gonsolin's been an all-star. Knack was doing so well last year, so Travis,
they're not. Those guys are not only in the rotation of other teams' starting rotations, they're near the top of their rotations. Those guys. Tony Gonsolin would be a 1 or a 2 or a 3 on many teams in baseball. Landon Knack is in every rotation in baseball. Dustin May, when healthy, is an ace. He's an ace. I mean, we saw him against the Angels the other night. I know it's spring training, whatever, but he's an ace. And he barely makes the rotation. So when those guys are all going to pitch this year, they're all going to get their turn to make an impact on the team, and I can't wait.
So Marcus, let's focus on Snellzilla again a little more, and then we'll have some fun and do some over-unders. 104 roughly around innings pitched last year. What are we expecting this year? I know that there's going to be a lot more room for rest. There's going to be a lot more room for breaks just with this rotation that they do have. Are you going to see, I mean, actually, we might as well just get into it right now. Over-unders, gentlemen. We'll start with the projected rotation. So Snell on the mound today against Skubal. Last year, he pitched 104 innings. We're going to start there. Innings pitched to Marcus, and then we'll go over to Travis. Over, under 160 innings pitched for Blake Snell.
I'm gonna say under, and not because he can't, but just because of how they manage this pitching staff, right? When you've got so many guys, and, you know, Trav, we talked about this last week, you know, at some point they're going to start working in Clayton Kershaw at some point in the season. We know they like to use their bullpens a lot. So I don't think it's that he can't pitch 160 innings. I just think the way Dave Roberts manages this team, he's just not really going to get the shot to get there.
Yeah, I agree with everything Marcus said. I'm going under for the exact same reasons. They don't need to go over to go do what they want to do. So I would be surprised, and maybe I'm stepping on it a little bit, Parker, but I don't think a single Dodger pitcher will pitch more than 150 innings this year.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That we're all aligned there on Snell, at least. I would say he will be under as well. on the 160 projection. Looking at ERA for him, and all these numbers I'm pulling from the Times. So in case anybody was curious, you could look up the Dodgers season predictions. I know Ardaya and a lot of the guys over there do a great job. ERA 3.4. Marcus, are we looking over or under for Blake Snell?
I'm gonna go under. I think he's a career 3.2 guy, so I'm gonna say he goes under. Dodger Stadium maybe isn't quite the pitcher's park it used to be, Travis. Maybe some of that's just the guys in the lineup nowadays. I don't know, but it's not quite the pitcher's park it used to be. But I still think that with this lineup around him, I think the pressure's off. But I think he goes under 3.4.
Yeah. So let me kind of flip it just a hair. If he had an ERA of 3.5, are you pleased?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think so too. And so I think that's I like that number. I feel like that number is right where you can kind of see it either way. I don't think you're ever going to let these guys get in a lot of trouble where they're going to get clobbered and give up a bunch of runs, because now we talked about that rotation. Their bullpen is very deep, and they got a bunch of guys that they can run out there to put out any fires that may arise. So I think it's going to land right about at that number. But if I had to bet, I think I'd go maybe slightly under, but not by a ton. I think it'll be somewhere in the low threes.
Yeah, career 3.19, like you said, Marcus. So I'm right there with you guys. I think he's going to go under, and honestly, my Cy Young pick. So we will see. We will go along with this season to follow along. Game 2 starter will most likely be, Travis, you can kind of correct me on this, Yamamoto. I believe it's already been slotted. So Yamamoto over under innings pitched. I know, Travis, you already mentioned the 150 number. I'm going to go over on 150 for Yamamoto. I think he's got a lot to prove this year. Where are you guys at, Travis? I'll start with you for 150 innings pitched over under.
Yeah, I'm under. I think that's the threshold that they're going to try to stay under. Keep in mind, he missed half the season last year, or close to it. He missed a couple of months in the middle of the year, and he got off to a little bit of a bumpy start, and then turned into that guy that we were all hoping he would be. He had that great night at Yankee Stadium, and then they shut him down for a couple of months. And when he relaunched, he was bumpy again until he was really good again. So I think that he that's going to kind of be his path in this league, is when he's on, he's as good as there is, but you're going to want to make sure that he gets a little time to kind of relaunch. And I think there will be just inevitably some times where he's down, because I think that's the plan. And I don't think he's going to get to 150 either.
Yeah, no, I'm with Travis on that one. I don't think he gets there. Look, they went with that 6-day rest for him last year, and for the most part I think it worked. Now you add Sasaki into the mix. I think they want to try to keep that sort of thing going. I mean, nominally they're calling it a 5-man rotation. I think in reality it will be a 6-man rotation once we get into the midst of the season. So I think that's going to be the case. Also, you talk about him missing the season. I was at the game where he got hurt, and it was wild for me because I was there. I got up to go get my kids some ice cream, and I came back and someone completely different was on the mound, and it was very jarring. Like, what the hell just happened? The next thing you know, he's out for 3 months or whatever it was. So hopefully nothing like that happens again this year.
Yeah, we're hoping for a clean bill of health for this Dodgers squad. But speaking of, we'll look at the rest of the rotation and the 5 that Dave Roberts is going to run out there. So that number 150 is going to be high for these next 3. So I'm doing some Parker cuts here. Travis, Glasnow, Sasaki, and May. I'm just going to set the number at 100.
Ooh.
Now, each 3 could be an interesting case there. So you can go ahead and start with Glasnow, Travis, but over under at 100 innings pitched for those 3.
Maybe you guys have this in front of you. I don't have. I'd be really curious to know how many times he's gone over 100 innings in his career.
Pull that up.
That Glasnow is, we were talking about this the other day. If you said to me the game 7 of the World Series is tomorrow and Tyler Glasnow is healthy and he's your pitcher tomorrow, great. Like I'm ready to go. I love it. Like, he's that good. The only knock on him is that he gets hurt almost every season. So I think that 100 is kind of, hopefully he has more than, he's done it 3 times.
3 times in his
career. Yeah, I'm going to go more than 100 for him. Because they're able to stagger so many different guys, I hope that maybe he pitches more often and doesn't have as much time on the IL. But if he does go over, I wouldn't expect it to be by more than 15, 20, 25 innings.
Mhm.
I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say over. He did get over last year, and the Dodgers really worked hard to manage his innings for the reason Travis mentioned, just because he has such a lengthy injury history. And even then, he's still got the dreaded elbow tightness or shoulder discomfort or whatever it is that he had to deal with. But I choose to remain optimistic that they will continue to manage his innings, because ultimately you do want him to be available for October, but I think he still gets over 100.
Yeah, I'm 134 innings pitched for the Dodgers last year, and it was unique circumstances, and now that you have the bolstered rotation that you do have, it might not get to that 134, and of course with all the injury concerns, I do still think though it touches over 100. But Travis, where do you land? And this one is going to be an interesting one on Sasaki. There's a lot of talk around him and the 6-day rest, similar to Yamamoto. Are they going to be very cautious with the rookie? That's a unique one. So where are you on 100 innings pitched?
So I hope that this is. I'm going to go under, but not because he has any sort of injuries. I'm going to go under based on something very small and anecdotal, and I would love to be wrong about this. He walked 5 guys in 3 innings. That's a lot. And the only way that this team is going to lose games is if they do stuff that is easily preventable. And walking guys is easily preventable. Making errors is easy. Like I think if he struggles with his command, we know that the stuff is great. We know that splitter is maybe unprecedented. We've really never seen pitches like this before. But if he can't throw the ball over the plate, they're going to have to go work on that. And I don't know if they're going to work on it in the big league level. I think that there may be times where he is pitching somewhere other than in the major leagues. I hope not. But 5 walks in 3, it was Japan. He's hyped up, major league debut, all of that stuff. So it could easily be the next time he pitches 6 innings and walks 1 guy, and I look stupid. So I hope so. But walks scare the what out of me, and he was all over the joint in that first game.
Yeah, that is concern. I think he's under. Again, I think partially because of how they're going to manage his pitching staff. I think partially because, they're also looking, I think, taking a long view with him. Again, part of the beauty of having so much depth is that you don't have to force the issue with anybody, right? I mean, you talk about a guy like Dustin May being a top line starter on any other team. If you are, if you're the Chicago White Sox and you have Dustin May, you're hoping he's healthy because you need him to take the bulk of your innings. If you're the Dodgers with Dustin May and he hasn't pitched in 2 years, almost 2 calendar years, you can sort of take your time. And I think with Sasaki, with the belief being that they want him to be a cornerstone of this rotation for a long time, I don't see a need to force him to shoulder a huge workload here in this first year. Now, if it works out that he's just lights out every time out and he's giving you 6 solid innings, and he gets over 100 innings, hey, I'll take it. But I don't see a real reason to kind of force the issue with him here in this first year.
Yeah.
No, I love those answers. He's done it, I think, twice in his career over in Japan with the Chibalotas. So
he's so fascinating because he's just getting started. Like when Ohtani and Yamamoto came to this league, they were seasoned pros. They had played professional baseball in the second best league in the world for a long time. This guy is just getting started. So
not even 24 yet.
I know there's going to be a learning curve for him, but I don't think it's going to be super steep. I think he'll figure it out pretty quick.
Agreed. So I know we're running short on time and we didn't get to everybody, but let's just do some rapid fire with the fun ones. I'll stick to home runs over on the other side. We're going to go over under, starting, of course, with the made man, Shohei. Marcus, over under 44 home runs this year.
I'm going to go under. Be great to see over, but last year was kind of a side quest for him. I don't think he has to pursue that this year. I go under.
Nothing to add to that. I agree for the same reasons. I think he goes under. He's pitching this year. He won't go over.
Perfect. Okay. A healthy Mookie. Are we seeing over under 28 home runs?
I'll go over. If he's healthy, we gain some of that water weight back. I'll go over 28.
I hope so. But dude, if he's in the 150s, like weight wise,
Yeah.
okay, that scares me. I don't love that, but yeah, he's that good that at 150 pounds he may hit 30 home runs or 30 home runs anyway.
All right, we'll get to Freddie, Teo, and Max. Freddie over under 24, Travis, home runs.
I'm going to go under just barely. I think he's probably 21, 22, somewhere in there. But if he went over, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'll go under.
I'll go under, but I think he hits well over 300 this year to sort of compensate for it.
You know, it's
the career average
right on the number. It
Yeah.
is 300 on the number. I think that's a little interesting side quest this season.
Yeah, we looked it up the other day. He's like 29994 or something like that. You know?
Every game we're going to be on career average watch for Freddie. Okay, so to round it out and to close out the episode, Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy. So Teoscar Marcus over under 30 this year.
I'll go over 30 for Teoscar. I think he's comfortable in a place he likes. I think he goes over.
I'll go under here. I think that Teo hit the high water mark last year. I think he's a great player. I'm thrilled that he's back. I think he's an important part of the team, but 30 home runs is a lot. And I will go slightly under.
And Travis, your MVP sneaky pick, Max Muncy over under 25. I'm thinking you're going to go over.
Yeah, over. I think he could go bonkers this season. I really that if those guys in front of him are healthy and productive, he's going to hit with nothing but guys on base. He's going to get a lot of good pitches. I'm going over.
I'll go over too. Last year, 15 home runs in 73 games. He was injured for a while. I think he goes over. And we can compare him to the other Max Muncy up in Oakland, the two Max Muncies, who both have the same birthday coincidentally as well too. So it's going to be wild.
Simulation, baby. We're living in a simulation.
All right. Happy opening day, everyone. Marcus, Travis, thank you for playing along. I got to send things back over to Travis and DeMarco so the guys can turn it around, but we really appreciate you being here. Chat, we appreciate you being active. Happy opening day once again. Let's go Dodgers. We'll be back tomorrow to react to game one, Blake Snell versus Skubal. Baseball starts at 12 today. I think Yankees Brewers first. So enjoy your day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Shout out to LAX. Shout out to the Blue Review.
See you.